You're watching Moms Matter. I'm your host, Shirini Yadigar, and in the studio today I have Rachael Lamden, who was a fierce activist at UC Berkeley, just graduated and is going to dental school at USC, and we have her here in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here in your presence, and you and your daughter, and you're all so amazing. So
Rachael, you're amazing. I mean, you've taken on so many leadership roles at Berkeley, and we've been watching. Your school has been a hotbed for anti-Semitism, Jewish hate, anti-Zionism. I mean, I really want you today to share with us a little bit about what it was like as a student to be there, you know, the past 8 months. Were you able to walk freely wearing your dog tag and your Magen David and be okay?
It was definitely crazy. This past year at Berkeley has been a whirlwind, and also a whirlwind of emotions. I think it was very difficult psychologically for myself, along with like the whole Jewish community. As far as like walking around and feeling loud and proud, I think that the majority of students that I know that identify with Judaism and that are pro-Israel and like whatever were scared. And I think a lot of people did take off their Stars of David, and I think that a lot of people were like walking around with caution and fear and whatnot. I think that that's a big majority. I think there is a minority of us that felt like even more strongly about like, no, like this is who I am, and if I'm walking around just showing who I am and like being an advocate, even if this is being an advocate, then I want to do it. So right. I think that there was like a small divide in that way, but it makes me really sad to say that the majority didn't feel comfortable. So
you were saying to me right when you walked in that it was the first time in your life that you had seen so many JV peers. For people who don't know what Jewish Voices for Peace is, can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So the Jewish Voice for Peace is basically a student organization. I don't think actually it's just a student organization. It's an organization of people that are Jewish or claim to be Jewish that do not associate with Zionism, are not pro-Israel, and are very actively supporting Palestine and anti-Israel, like very anti. So yeah, I had never interacted with individuals that had shared those beliefs with each other before, because I grew up in Los Angeles, and I feel like the Jewish community here is quite aligned in that way, or at least the Jewish community that I was brought up in. So going to Berkeley and seeing such an active group that was like so different from what I had been around was shocking, and honestly very disheartening, because it felt like, how are we at the #1 public university right now and not really being intelligent about certain things and about certain concepts and not educating ourselves?
So these Jewish Voices for Peace were aligned with the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian movement on campus. They were all in the encampments together.
Yes.
Yes. And you, as a Jew, were not allowed to enter those spaces.
Yeah, so our encampments, I do have to say that at UC Berkeley, I was a little bit surprised that our encampments weren't as aggressive as like at UCLA. I was expecting our encampments to be crazy, and they were crazy, but if we're drawing a comparison, UCLA seemed a lot more aggressive, but at Berkeley, it was just very uncomfortable, and they kind of just barricaded the whole thing. So it wasn't so much that like, you know, like I would approach and try to go in and like someone would say no. It was just like, I don't even know how to approach it, because it's just like a whole blockade, and like everyone is just so in their tents. I don't even know. It was really crazy. And our encampments did kind of start at the end of our semester, but something I do want to touch on is that we have a gate at the entrance of our campus called Seder Gate. And I think for students at UC Berkeley, this was our encampment. And it started in, I want to say, February. So a lot earlier to the encampments that we were seeing more recently. But basically what they had done at the gate was they blocked our entire gate. This is how people are moving through campus to go to and from class. They blocked it with different posters, and they lined it up with speakers, and they would play audio recordings of bombs and of people like crying and yelling and dying, and it would have recordings of like, today Al Jazeera News is reporting blah, 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 the hands of the IOF and the Zionist entity and whatnot. And this was a huge disturbance on campus. So separate from the encampments, this was something that Jewish students really feared. And this was a reason that people wanted to take off their Stars of Davids and didn't want to wear their dog tags. Because it's not like you're able to get to class and feel comfortable.
Right.
You're walking, you're trying to get through a gate. You can't even get through it. You have to go through the sides of it. And this was something where I felt like targeted because I was a Jewish student. People would literally come up to us, even if like we wanted to take a picture or something, which should be totally fine. This is public property. Sure. And students that weren't Jewish, all students want to take pictures of this. It's like a huge thing. It's happening on campus. Berkeley's known to be very politically active and just in general active campus. But when a Jewish student would videotape or whatever, and they were associating with Judaism in some way, someone would come up to you, cover your camera, be like, don't do that. Why are you doing that? Yell at you, get all up in your face. Mm-hmm. That's not comfortable, that's not safe, and that's not okay.
I mean, were you feeling as though this bullying was happening just by the students and outside agitators, or was this bullying happening in the classroom by faculty and professors as well?
I do think that it was both. I would say that it was students, but I also think that silence is very loud, and that was something that we faced a lot of at the hands of the administration. And in classes, I did have friends that would explain that, oh, today in class, like our TA was wearing a keffiyeh and like was forcing us to talk about this situation and to like condemn the genocide and like all this stuff. So that was a very big part of like classroom rhetoric that I was hearing about from students. And I think the craziest thing to me was I was hearing this from my friends that were in their like biology class or their chemistry classes. It has no place anywhere, but especially in like a science class or a coding class, like you wouldn't expect to hear about something so drastically unrelated.
That's right. So I mean, if you were to look back now, Rachel, you're 4 years at UC Berkeley, and you think to yourself, okay, if I were to tell my little sister, would you say yes, go to Berkeley, or would you say stay clear of it?
I would say yes, go to Berkeley. I think it might be a controversial opinion, but if there's something that I want to say about it, it's that I've never been a part of a more passionate and fierce and tight-knit Jewish community in my entire life. And I think it's because we faced so much trauma throughout the past year, but also throughout the past 4 years, that everyone's just kind of become trauma bonded. And I really think that it made everyone feel even more passionately about their Judaism and about Israel, which was so beautiful and an experience that I was so grateful to have, and relationships I'm so grateful to now have. I was very involved with Chabad, and I have never felt more connected to a family before in my life. The Chabad family at Berkeley is amazing. So shout out to the Leeds family. But really, I think that at Berkeley, we all were able to create a space of safety for ourselves within each other. And we just wanted to bring the light, and I felt like we did, and we tried as hard as we could too. So that's why I would support students to go to Berkeley.
And what would you say, Rachel, to incoming freshmen or to those who are seniors, you know, rising seniors who are looking for universities in the application process? What would you say to them? What should they be looking for in schools? What should they be looking for on campuses when they start to feel safe in their Judaism and in their identity?
Yeah. I think finding other students that you can connect with and align with in your beliefs is most important, and finding spaces that you feel safe in. And if you want to be an advocate, places that you can amplify your voice and feel like you are heard. I do have to say I never felt heard by the administration, which was very upsetting, but I think that we tried to create platforms for ourselves where we could feel heard, at least among the campus community, and try to get our message out to other students. I think for incoming freshmen, I think being strong in your sense of self, don't let the things that you're hearing infiltrate your thoughts, because there's so much misinformation being spread right now, and it's crazy. but stay strong in who you are and continue to be yourself and share your identity with the world. Be proud of who you are. And I think that for seniors looking for colleges, don't be scared of the things that we're seeing right now. It's so scary. So that's valid. It's valid to feel scared. But again, know that you are a force for change and that you can do it. And if anything, you're going to bring light to that situation. And maybe because you are going to that school, something amazing will come of it. So
I love that, Rachel. Wow. Yeah. I mean, thank you for being an inspiration and for showing by leading by example. And we are just so proud of you, young women who are standing up for what you believe in and leading the way. And congratulations on getting into USC Dental School. We can't wait to see all the great things you continue to do. And I'm glad you're home safe and away from UC Berkeley for now.
Thank you. Me too.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you all next time right here on Moms Matter.